Thanks for joining us for the last segment of the Saint LibCon Podcast, Counterculture Series, Episode 7, Parts 4 and 5, the Action Plan, and Ride With Me. Thanks for riding with us all season long. If you haven't already, subscribe, hit the bell. You'll definitely want to do that because we're going to take some time off, then come on back and start up with a new series. All right? So, jumping right into it tonight, talking about the action plan. What we're going to talk about is the secrets to success. Yes, the actions you need to take to be successful. We're going to break it down in the most simplest forms, and then we're going to break it down in a pretty complex form. All right? Now, first, there's this thing. It's called the success sequence, right? How to be successful, the things you have to do in order to be successful in America. Make it to the middle class. Not be poor. All right. The first thing you got to do is graduate from high school. All right. The second thing you got to do is get a full-time job. All right. The third thing you got to do is get married. Right? Yes, get married. Promote marriage here. And the fourth thing is then, after getting married, after graduating from high school and getting a full-time job, then have kids after that. And that, my friends, is called the success sequence. That's all you got to do. Those 4 steps, you'd be successful in the middle class, living a pretty comfortable life here in America. Don't believe me? What if I told you, and I know we hate statistics and stuff, but what if I told you had a 300% better chance of getting to the middle class if you were married? Interesting. Yes. And how does that work? Well, let me explain. I got into a little Facebook thing with this guy the other day, posting in our community. A lot of gentrification going on in South LA, right? A lot of gentrification. So this guy says, he's complaining because the low income housing that they're building, he's all upset because he's like, they're saying the low income housing that 1-bedroom apartments are going to cost $2,000 a month. This is Los Angeles. $2,000 a month. That's not low income housing. We got to get it lower. And my thing is, bullshit. We got to get people's wages higher. But nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody believes that could happen. Anytime I bring that up in our community, they're like, sure. How can we get some Section 8 in here? Like, no. How about we get people good jobs? Get them trained for good jobs. Get them educated for good jobs. Nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody. It's crazy. It pisses me off, actually. But I digress. So anyway, this guy's like, $2,000 for a 1-bedroom apartment. Come on. Nobody can afford that in low-income housing. And I go, well, look, there's a lot of gentrification going on, a lot of construction. Well, if you're a construction worker, I bet they could afford it. And he's like, no, I've done the math. And that $2,000 for rent per month, you got to make like $30 an hour. And the construction workers are not making that much. So they can't afford it either. And then most people, they're making much less than that, working fast food restaurants, these other jobs. I'm like, okay. So if you need to make $30 an hour in order to live in the neighborhood, to stay in the neighborhood, right? What were we talking about just a second ago? Marriage. Now, Los Angeles, there's this thing called minimum wage. I don't know when it goes full effect. I think it's next year, 2020. But pretty much the minimum wage in Los Angeles is $15 an hour. All right. So if you need a 1-bedroom apartment, right, because you're married and you both have full-time jobs because you graduated from high school, well, guess what? You're making minimum wage at least. And hopefully you got some work ethic and some drive, some goals, and you're doing better than that. But maybe you're just starting out. Either way, let's just say you're making minimum wage, $15 an hour. Well, if you're married, both of you are making $15 an hour, so guess what? You're making $30 an hour. So according to my Facebook friend, you can afford to live there. If you're making 15, I guess you can. How about you get married? Been the best thing in my life. So anyway, we're going to talk about those type of things because tonight in the action plan, as we wrap up the Counterculture series, we want to make sure you understand that there are specific actions that you can take to pull all of these things together that we've talked about and use them so you can improve yourself, improve our community. Let's get it. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for listening to my little diatribe about marriage. But that's not the first step. We talked about the first step earlier in episode 7, this episode right here. We talked about the first step, and that is you have to understand your role as Hebrews, as Black Israelites, and come back in faith and obedience with God. It's that simple. I mean, it is that simple. So that's the first step, okay? And when we talk about that, what does faith and obedience to God look like? Let's talk about it for a second. You know, I just started this journey not too long ago, just a few years ago, understanding who we truly are and what our roles are. And to be honest with you, it's not easy. You have to start somewhere, and I think it's easy to start. It's easier to start with things that are just blatant disrespect to God and that can just completely control parts of your life during parts of the year. So what am I talking about? If you want to start out by living with faith and obedience to God, you can do a couple things. The first one, it's super simple, all right? Observe the Sabbath, okay? Now, the true Sabbath is on Saturday, all right? And what does that mean? It's pretty darn simple. Don't cook, don't clean, chill, rest. That's it. Don't work, okay? So prepare all your food Friday night, all right, the day of preparation. And then on Saturday, eat healthy, stuff you don't have to warm up, stuff you don't have to, and chill, all right? You don't need to be watching a whole bunch of TV. Go out on a walk. Spend some time with the family. Jump rope with the kids. Play, hide and go seek. Like, do some stuff. Read the Bible. Oh my gosh, read the Bible. Right? Do some stuff as a family. That's how you can observe the Sabbath. Second thing you can do, pretty easy. Stop observing pagan holidays. Like, seriously, everyone should do this. Stop observing pagan holidays. This Christmas stuff, give me a break. Like, look up the origins of Christmas. And I know you already know, everybody knows, it's built on paganism. But you're like, oh, it's in school, it's at the shopping mall, it's online, the Christmas music, I can't get away from it, screw it, I'll just worship Satan. What? Like, seriously, that's what you're doing. You know you're doing it. Look up the Christmas tree, what's that all about? Singing, caroling around, like, come on, you know what you're doing, but you're just like, this is where the world's at, so I'll just follow the world. Stop it. It's stupid. And it's very hard, trust me, especially when you got kids. But you'll be blessed beyond belief when you stop worshiping other idols. And you may not think that's what you're doing, and you may wrap it in this fake story, right? I'm not saying that the birth of Christ is fake, but it didn't happen on December 25th. You should look who was born on December 25th in real life. All right, so anyway, Christmas, get away from. You got to give people gifts, all right? You got to be a gift giver. Look up a holy day in the Bible that you're actually supposed to be celebrating. It's called Purim, Purim, Purim. You can give out food and gifts and all types of stuff. We feed the homeless. It's a great gift to them. So, stop celebrating Christmas and celebrate Purim. It's in the Bible. Look it up. Another thing you stop doing is stop celebrating Easter, another pagan Satanist holiday. Seriously, and you know it. Easter bunnies and freaking eggs, and give me a break, man. What are you doing? You have your kids searching for these things, you put money in them and candy and dye the eggs. You know what this is all about. It's about the resurrection. We don't even call it Easter at church. We call it Resurrection Sunday. Great. I don't care what you call it. What you're doing is you're sinning, all right? Because there's a real holy day, actually a holy week, during that time period that is in direct conflict with Easter. Because here's what happens, all right? Here's what happens in our churches. We do this thing in all types of iterations of it, different examples of it. And it's at my church, my wife's church that she grew up in, and this is the church we're in. And we, it's the church. So anyway, we do this thing called the Daniel fast. It's like 40 days of fasting, all right? Can't eat anything. You're pretty much vegan for 40 days, all right? And then, right on Easter, which is typically like the start of Passover, which is what you're really supposed to be celebrating, right on that day, you come off your fast and you just stuff your face with like all types of stuff you're not supposed to be eating. Like ham, Easter ham. Oh yeah, right? Give me some, all types of, come on. Anyway, so look it up, understand the origins of Easter, understand the origin of Christmas, understand the true meaning behind Halloween. I don't even have a alternative holy day for Halloween, running around acting like devils and goblins and, dressing up like dead people, and you got your kids, bobbing for apples, and come on. Why are you doing this? Running around the neighborhood begging for candy, dressed up like dead people and zombies and shit. Why? Come on. So anyway, those are pretty easy ways to start your faith and obedience to Christ. You can also start with a diet, right? Stop eating crap, pork, shellfish. That's too easiest. It's written in the Bible. Don't do that. So anyway, here's all other types of stuff. You can stop your basic sinning, all right? Don't be violent. Don't disrespect your parents. Don't cheat on your wife. Don't steal, don't lie, all these type of things. You can stop doing that too, all right? So anyway, that's step one, faith and obedience to God and understanding that you are the true people of Israel and of the Bible. And until you come back in faith and obedience with God, then you're going to be cursed. There it is, bottom line. Step two is follow the path that I've set before you. It sounds pretty simple, but it's not. All right? And we're going to run through every episode because this was a roadmap this season. The Counterculture Saint LibCon Podcast. This series is a roadmap on how to make you successful, how to break the curse, and how to get in line with God and fulfill your purpose. And let's just go over it. Episode 1, what did we talk about? In episode 1, the race war. Here's the bottom line on episode 1. You need to understand your enemy and his goals and how he's using you to get to those goals. Now, who's your enemy? Globalists. You're like, oh my gosh. Shut up. Here it is. People who are very powerful people in this world, very rich people in this world, they don't want us to have any borders because they just want to be in charge and have people write laws that you didn't elect because it's a big world government, all right? So that's why they're trying to break down borders and all types of stuff. So that's just who it is, all right? And what is your role in this? What they're going to do is use black people and incite a race war to tear apart America, start a civil war, and completely create chaos before they attack us and take us over. All right, sounds crazy, but I'm letting you know. All right, so anyway, what we have to do is de-escalate the race war. And we talked about this in episode 1, where if a race war starts off, when it kicks off, it's going to kick off with an incident between, pretty much a police officer shooting an unarmed black man. Like, there's going to be riots in the street and blah, 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 and it escalates from there. Like, that is the plan. Read the white papers. It's out there. That's what they're going to do. All right? So, what we have to do is do a couple things. Number 1, we need to lobby our elected representatives, right? Yes, get political. And let them know that there needs to be accountability on police officers and what they do and when they shoot somebody. And we talked about this in length, but grand juries, the people that indict people, there needs to be a reworking of the grand jury process when there's a cop that kills somebody that's unarmed because they're not being held accountable. And go to episode 1, check it out if you want to see the full, breakdown and dissection of that. Secondly, like I said, when that happens, because it happens, we need to de-escalate the situation, all right? Here's one of the issues with our community. We're so freaking emotional. We're all riled up and shit about everything. Stuff that stops, except the stuff that's important, right? No, everyone's all, oh my God, Colin Kaepernick, Jay-Z, Dave Chappelle, Cardi B, T.I., all this crap, but nobody's worried about public education, gentrification. Nobody wants to talk about that. Never talk about Miss Kitty. Hate Miss Kitty. Taraji P. She's such a great actress. She's playing that, tearing us down. Pisses me off. Anyway, so where the hell was I? De-escalation. So we need to take some of the emotion out of our decision making and our everyday behavior. I'm just gonna say it. You gotta settle the fuck down, all right? And you gotta chill the fuck out. And you gotta listen. Shut up for a second. Listen to what people are saying. Learn something. When other people talk, listen. Don't think about what you're gonna say next or how you can come up with a snappy, come back. Shut up. Listen. All right. And when people are trying to get you all riled up because of the next police shooting or tragedy or whatever, understand, again, it's part of the plan to take down you and this country. And we are the first line of stopping this shit by de-escalating the situation. So there we are with that. Episode 2. Episode 2 was all about free thought. We talked about this, Where our head has been is not in a good place, seriously. I understand, and I get it. I know about the Southern strategy and, the civil rights movement and the civil rights bill and the civil rights this and that Lyndon Johnson did. Sure. So we all love the Democrats. I get it. All right. However, they haven't done crap for us for like 60 years. So we got to get out of lockstep with the leftists. And that's what we were trying to say here in episode 7. And the time to do this, seriously, like, we've been begging you to do this for a while. But now, seriously, the time is now. Couple reasons. One, talked about it earlier in episode 7. The curse of 400 years was lifted August 20th, 2019. Okay? So now you actually have the ability to think and to do what is right, to follow God and to prosper. All right? And number 2, we got to get our stuff in motion, because I got to be honest with you, and I talked about this in episode 2, like, your ass is being replaced. Okay? So you have some political power right now, we're courting the blacks. It's all about the black vote. And, if we're not 90% in lockstep with the Democrats, they can't win, right? So they're all up in our asses and stuff. But, like I told you, you're being replaced by the Latinos and the Hispanics. They're just growing much quicker. They don't kill their babies like we do. And so there's going to be this huge portion of the population. And as you can see, the Democratic Party is kind of like gravitating towards them. Interesting. So, yeah, now's the time to make your move. And all the political clout that we have, we need to really step on the accelerator and hasten things, because we're about to be out of political power in a minute here. So you should understand that. And you should get out of lockstep with these leftists and start exploring some ideas of what I call black conservatism. Yes. Now, black conservatism, they're going to demonize it. And, it's funny. I was talking to my cousin the other day, and he saw that little clip between T.I. and what he called that racist lady, right? Candace Owens, Oh, yeah, well, I mean, she's not racist because she's black, but I mean, what? Like, this is how they control your mind. They get these things in your head. So anyway, that's how black conservatism is painted. And, I'll go ahead and reinforce it, because maybe you should consider things like supporting the Second Amendment and being against just straight open borders and, be pro-life and asking the government to get out of your business. Like, these are not crazy ideas, to be honest with you. The next thing you got to do is you have to truly know and support part of the black agenda. And this is one that focuses on pooling resources and creating the right incentives, the incentives for government, but also, and more so, private corporations. So they are driven by market incentives to support our agenda. We're going to talk about this in real detail in the Ride With Me section. So just hang on for that, all right? But just understand that there is a black agenda that President Obama, he didn't want it put in place because he's like, I'm here for everybody. So let me run through it again with you. Just the highlights. The first thing that we need to concentrate on is not concentrating on reality TV. How about give that a break for cut your reality TV down from 8 shows to 4. All right, so that saves you 4 hours a week. All right, and during those 4 hours a week, I want you to do some research on what it would look like to have a for-profit charter school. You're like, what? Profit school. Nobody should profit off of our kids' education, right? Bullshit. Let me tell you something here. When you hear something that sounds really ooh, that's smooth. That's a good saying. That's a bumper sticker. That's what it is. It's a bumper sticker. It's a short phrase that you can see and hear everywhere, but it really doesn't make any freaking sense. And let me tell you, people make it sound like, oh my gosh, you can't tie profit to a child's education. Well, let me ask you this. Let me tell you this. So here's how public education works. Your tax money goes to local taxes, right? Then the tax money, portion of it, funds the schools. And where your kids go to school, if like 20 of them are in a high school and then 10 of them are junior high, right? Then 20 stipends of money, let's say in California, I'm making it up, $9,000 per kid goes 20 times over to that school. Boom. And then the junior high 10 times, right? And then there's a, east and a west high, whatever, then they split the money. And it's all based on the number of students. And why people don't like charter schools is because when you open a charter school in the same neighborhood, if students go to that charter school, then the money follows the kid. And it comes out of that public school. And so the teachers cannot have that money to fund their school. And the administrators, they can't have that money to, administer their school, all right? So they think we're killing the public school by taking resources and putting it in charter schools. But these schools suck, so screw them. I'm tired of that. What we're going to do is we're going to take those dollars, right? We're going to say, all right, if it costs $9,000, kid comes over here, $9,000 comes with him, all right. Now, if that kid is reading at his grade level and he's doing math at his grade level, then $9,000 for the kid, your expenses are $9,000, boom, you break even. Great. All right, now let's say that you only spend $8,000 on the kid, but they give you a 9 and he's reading and doing math at his grade level. Guess what? You got to give that $1,000 back. He's just doing average. He's just doing what he's supposed to be doing. So we're not going to take money from you. We're just going to give you what you need to operate. All right. Now, if that kid is reading at a higher level and doing math at a higher level, right, and you're saving money, well, guess what? You get to keep that money. And that incentivizes you to have those kids do well and keep your business expenses low. Now, what's wrong with that? Oh, well, no. You should take that profit and put it back into the other kids. Well, if you own the place and you're only taking all your profits and you're just putting it back into the business and you're not enjoying the profits, then what is your incentive to set up and have kids be successful? There isn't. That's what's called capitalism. It's built this great nation and it's built us into an economic power that this world has never seen. And guess what? Maybe we should use that principle for our schools, because right now we have a social monopoly run by the government on our schools, and that's why they suck. All right, how about that? So, for-profit charter schools, get with it. And these schools, we just got to recognize, man, not everybody's going to college, all right? Not everybody is Langston Hughes or Maya Angelou or Chris Rock. All right, not everybody's going to college. So you got to understand, like, at some point, we got to put people on tracks. Now, I heard about this in Germany. It's crazy. Like 5th grade or something, they say, hey, you're going to college, and you're on that track, and you're going to college. And hey, you're not going to college, and you're on that track, and you're going to do something that's in the trades. And like, you can't get out of that track. Let's say you're just a late bloomer in high school. You're like Albert Einstein. Very small chance you're going to get into college. So maybe we should make it that rigid. However, look, man, I got a cousin. He's much younger than me, young cousin. He's a welder making great money. Didn't go to college. I don't think he went to college. Anyway, didn't need to go to college. He went to trade school, making great money. Doesn't have a whole bunch of school loans and stuff. Like, what is wrong with that? Why would I look down on that? Oh, because he's working with his hands? Have you ever worked with your hands? It's kind of, I work with my head all day long. So working with my hands, I've done that also. I kind of enjoy it. But here's what it is. The work you put in, and he puts in hard work, just like many other people. We do not need to look at that as like, oh my gosh, you're not using high degree math and critical thought and all this stuff. You're beneath me. No, actually, if you have $200,000 in school loans and you got like some literary art degree or some, gender studies or something, you can't find a job and you're in debt, living in your parents' basement, and he's got his own apartment and a nice whip and like living comfortably, eating, going to work, being productive, building shit, by the way. Well, guess what? He's kind of winning, ain't he? Maybe you're beneath him with your fancy degree. Anyway, so what the hell is this guy do at school? So each school, we need to figure out, like, there's people that are like have the opportunity to go on to the trades, and we need to really take those people and incentivize them and mold them and start making their education geared towards those trades so they can, think about it. I talked about this. If you taught high school students construction, like real construction, how to build houses and stuff, start when they're freshmen all the way through their seniors, like when they get out, they could probably get a job in construction. Pays pretty good. Like, it's called the Journeyman Program. Again, talked about it in episode 2. Teach kids real trades, construction, this big infrastructure movement that's going on throughout the country. We're booming right now. Things are getting built. Cities are getting, upgraded. And there's all types of jobs. Just got to have the right skills. Make this part of the infrastructure bill. Maybe if we weren't so busy impeaching the president, we could work together and like figure out how to rebuild bridges and roads that need to be rebuilt. And, employ some extra people. And let me expand on this idea about the trades. When we think of trades, we think of like plumbers and electricians and, medical techs and the traditional trades. But there's also all these new trades of, computer programmers and robotics and like AI and, again, things you don't necessarily need a 4-year liberal arts degree from some expensive university, right? You can go get certifications and all these type of things. And you hear about all these millions of jobs across America that are going unfilled because we don't have the skills or the labor that is skilled to fill the jobs. So I'm thinking of a partnership between 3 entities. First, the students. Give them like a personality career test or whatever. You've taken one when you were in 2nd grade. So you give them this test and they figure out what skills they have, what skills they want to have, what they want to do for a living. Then they have companies that have all these job openings, are going to have job openings to project in those, and what skills they need for those jobs. All right. Then you have another company that puts those two together, that finds a really efficient way of saying, here are the kids with the skills and the skills they want to have, and here are the jobs that need those skills. How can we match those up, get the companies to sponsor as part of the compensation, because after they pay for, through part of the compensation package for these students to get those certifications, then those students come and work for those companies. That's part of their pay, all right? And that's one of the things that we can do. Again, this is the action plan. So we need to take action. Somebody set that shit up, all right? And the company is set up to do this. You can make money too, right? What if we charge the students $10 per class? Like, they gotta have a little bit of skin in the game, right? So we charge them $10 a class, and that's how the company that's doing this portal, that's how they make their money or pay for their operating costs or whatever. Not to mention skin in the game. If students fail out of school or quit their job or get fired, they become liable for that training. Gotta have skin in the game. Gotta have accountability. Gotta have, all types of mechanisms to make sure this is going right. What's next? We're going to stay in education. So much about education. We need the churches to step up. That's right. I'm calling on you, First Baptist and, First AME and whomever else church, Jehovah's Witness and Seventh-day Adventist, everybody, all right? All the churches in our neighborhood, because we have a lot. Let's just put it that way. All the churches in the neighborhood. Here's what you got to do. We need you to do two things. Every Sunday, we need you to collect offerings from the congregation and let them know those offerings are going to go to people in the congregation that are going to spend time during the week doing homework with kids in the local community. And here's what I found out. Look, some of the reason that these parents are not doing homework with their kids because they can't. All right? So fine. I understand that. So when those kids are on their way from home, they should stop at church. And we should have people there, and they should log their time doing homework with these kids. We'll call it tutoring, we'll call it whatever they're doing, they're helping the kids so they can learn in the evening and outside of a school setting. And then in the school setting, we have to have good teachers. So in the church, collect the tithes, distribute proportionally. It means if you do 100 and he does 10 hours of tutoring, well, you're going to get most of the money and he's going to get a little bit of money. That's how it should work. And collect those tithes and ask the congregation to volunteer. And we need all of our churches to step up and do this because education is important and these kids need help. All right. Secondly, we need the churches to organize family and marriage counseling. Same thing. First step, our community needs the partnership with some community colleges, some small colleges that are not expensive that can get family and marriage certifications, okay? Got associates, you got a high school degree, help you get associates. Go in, get a family and marriage certification so you can have good conversations with men and women in our community about having a healthy two-parent home that can raise a child, that can set an example, that can, quite honestly, have the man and woman live with each other and not kill each other. No, seriously. We need to find a way to encourage marriage and heal the divide between men and women in our community. And that's going to take all types of counseling. Let's not get into the details. Let's just say there's all types of generational curses, of abuse, of all types of things that have people really set back and unable to move forward. And they need someone to speak with and someone to work through these things with before they can have a healthy relationship with somebody. Or they're in a relationship that could be healthy, but they can't get past those things, so they need someone to talk to. And we need to find a way to have the church set up a way where people can come in and be able to talk those things out and work through these issues and train people so they can help each other in the community. All right? This is real talk. This is the action plan. This is a true action. I'm calling on you, churches. What are you doing? Monday through Saturday. What are you doing? All right? You should be tutoring kids and counseling men and women. What's so tough about that? What's the big ask there? Like, let's focus our energy. All right. And speaking of focusing energy in our community, I've spoken with a lot of people that do not have the same background and upbringing as I, right? They didn't, I had a middle class upbringing. Never needed anything. No big deal. However, I've spoken to people that didn't have a lot of resources when they were growing up, but now they're doing really well. And I asked them about, all types of stuff. We had all types of different conversations. But a theme that came out of these conversations was, I remember the first time I saw black people doing well. Like, I walked in the house and I looked around, I'm like, black people live here. Yes, really. Like in real life, yes. And what do? They're doctors, or they're lawyers, or they're teachers, or they're, accountants, or they, whatever. And people talk about this, and they look, and they go out to dinner with them, and they have they have a great meal, and everyone's talking about, like, how was your day? Oh, my day was great. How was your day? Oh, it was good. Well, what was your favorite thing that you did at school today? And these people are like, oh, what the fuck is going on? Like, this is how a functioning family works. This is how half of our community works every day. And unfortunately, there's the other half of the community that just doesn't function that way because they've not been taught that this is the way a family functions. And they need to see that. And they need to understand that it's real and that it is enjoyable and that it is being accomplished every day by the other half of our community. And so what that half of the community needs to do that is enjoying that is what we need to do is we need to sponsor families to come over and enjoy that with us. Like, this is a true village. This is the action plan. I'm asking you. I'm asking me to take on this action. There's kids in the community. We had 2 young girls over here to play with my daughter this weekend. And, we spent a little bit of money, but not hundreds of dollars. But we just went out. We had pizza at the buffet. We played some little arcade games, right? They came over. They watched a movie on the TV, just kind of lounged in the guest room, listened to some music and danced outside, played some jump rope. Like, it was all cool, all good. And, I've seen it before, and I see it each time that we have my daughter's friends over that are not growing up in necessarily the same exact situation as her. All different variations of it. I'm not saying these girls are in huge need or anything, but overall general experiences in the past that I'm summing up about this specific topic. It changes lives when people see other people that look like them doing well. Okay? To understand that they can make it. That not everything is against them. And that they have a chance. And so, again, those of us that are, and there's plenty of us that are, we need to take it upon us to take those young people and take our peers and show them the example that we're living in our lives and let them know that they can live that way too. What else did we talk about in episode 2? Oh, right here. Look, man, things have gotten a little better, but the truth is we need to still fundamentally change the welfare laws of this country. And listen, man, there's hundreds and hundreds of public assistance programs. And I know you're going to say, oh, you want to starve the babies. Bad black Republican. Not a freaking Republican, all right? I'm a conservative. But what you're going to say, you want to starve the babies. No, I don't. Listen, both you and I know, SSI is a freaking joke. All right? You know that. Workers' comp, disability, it's a joke. Okay? All this stuff, though, we both know, pays better than going to some crappy job. You got to work your ass off and get paid nothing. Right? And this stuff pays pretty good, and you ain't got to do nothing. So, I understand. Especially when you got to go to that job and pay child care, and you're really like losing money. Look, man, I want a real safety net, like a true safety net. You're disabled, like really disabled, all right? And for people that are unfortunately let go in their job or downsized, and they're truly like in between jobs, and it's there for a short period of time so they can get back on their feet, but not as like, this is a way of life. This is a generational way of life, living off the government. So, we got to get away from this. And I know everyone's like, oh, no, there's not perpetual welfare anymore, and you can't say that, and da-da-da. There's hundreds and hundreds of programs, man. Shut up. So, and people abuse it. There's abuse, right? This SSI scam, like, I'm crazy. I sprained my ankle. I'm never going to work again. It's worth a couple $1,000 a month. And like, come on. Like, gotta get away from that. And speaking of craziness, look, man, we have to be able to admit, just like I'm part of all different types of communities. The Black community, the American community, the military community, veteran community. And I'll say this. In the veteran community that I'm part of, we have a real issue with suicide. Like 6,000 veterans commit suicide a year. Like crazy. Over the last decade, like 60,000. That's a lot. All right? Veterans are not a huge portion of this country. Let's be clear. So, that's an issue in my community. And here's the issue in my other community, my Black community. Mental illness. All right? All types of, like I said, generational scars and abuse and curses that have contributed to this. But we have to be able to just like I said, like, you were like, oh my God, you're offending the veterans. How could you say they want to kill themselves? No, you weren't saying that. And don't say the same shit about us in our community. Like, oh my God, how are you saying we have mental issues? Like, there's a larger proportion of people that are having mental issues in our community that should. And it's because they're self-medicating, or they're not getting the right treatment, or the right counseling, or the right environment. And we have to find a way to fix that. Now, in California, you might hear there's this homeless crisis going on. People living on the street. And I would say literally, like, half of those people have a mental illness, okay? And it's a pretty nice place to live anyway. Right? 365 is like paradise. Every once in a while it rains. But for the most part, if I was going to be homeless, I'd be here in LA too. So, one of the things we have to do is we got to open psych wards back up again. Now I know, like, oh my God, you can't say that. But like, they were shut down way back when because they were doing experiments on people and crazy crap, and it got out of hand. And they're just complete abuse. Well, if you do that, then you should go to jail. And here's something that's brand new, like brand old, but brand new, bringing it back, like justice, okay? Now you go, no, we can't have psych wards because people do experiment on the patients. And I'm like, well, if they do experiment on the patients, then you should do experiments on them and kill them and take all their money, and like there should be real consequences. Now, I know we don't have real consequences for rich people that would run psych wards nowadays, so you can't understand that. You can't envision that. Oh my God, no, they'll take advantage of it and they'll get away with it. But no, maybe we should bring back the rule of frickin' law in this country and say, hey, maybe we can do the right things, because if people do the wrong thing, they're going to get their ass in trouble, and so they're not going to do the wrong thing. So, bring back the psych wards. You'll get half of these people off the street. All right? And don't run the psych wards with researchers, right? Obviously, because they're going to want to do research on the patients. And Don't run the psych wards with the government. Run it with doctors. How about that? Shit ain't that hard, man. They make it hard. All right. Moving on to episode 3. You're like, gosh, I thought we were at episode 50. No, episode 3. Episode 3, man. It gets pretty simple from here on out. Episode 3 is about you have to educate yourself. I mean, you just absolutely need to educate yourself. And I know we've heard it, like, if you don't know your history, you're bound to repeat it. And that just is a way of you saying, ooh, that sounds nice, and let's move on, not learn about our history. But damn it, I'm telling you right now, we can no longer go on being ignorant about shit. Like, it just doesn't work for me. I had a conversation with one of my favorite people in the world the other day. And I was so frustrated. I'm like yelling. Oh, gosh, I'm sorry. Sorry for yelling. But real talk. It's like they're telling me, you know, oh no, I watch MSNBC and CNN and Fox, and I still hate the president. And I'm like, okay, well, you know, he let a whole bunch of black people out of jail, this criminal justice reform thing. Yeah, I heard something about that. Do you care about black people getting put out of jail, getting let out of jail? Yeah, of course I do. Well, what'd you hear about it? I don't know. I saw like a little snippet here and there. Well, why don't you research it? Like, you cannot tell me you care about black people getting let out of jail and you hear something about it, right? But you don't go look it up. That's the thing. Like, we're so programmed to say, if I don't turn on some device and it doesn't tell me some shit, then I'm just not going to know about it. How about, like, if you turn on some device and you catch the end of a story of something that you care about, something that you say you care about, then here's the judgment if you really care about it or not. Are you going to look it up and do some research on it, find out the truth, or just what they told you? Like, it's so frustrating. And I know episode 3 is like a freaking history lesson. A lot of information. You don't need to learn it all. Just kind of understand, like, there's been a true conspiracy throughout the entire history of this country to rule this country and set up power structures that are screwing you, right? And maybe you want to do some research on that so you can get away from it. That's all I'm saying, man. I'm tired of people just like, oh, well, I can't have these conversations with you because I don't understand as much as you do, and this is your thing, and I don't expect you to, understand everything about everything. Like, that's what I do. All right, just kidding. I don't understand you have an opinion about everything. That's what I have, all right? I just have opinions. I don't understand everything. But what I do kind of expect of us as a community is, like, understand shit that's important to our community. Like, when I'm talking to somebody about school choice, and they're like, oh, okay. MSNBC told me. School choice. I hate school choice. It's screwing the public schools. And they repeat that to me, and then I start breaking it down. When I start talking about it, they're like, it's too much. I don't want to hear about it, man. I can't really talk about this. I don't understand it. So what you're telling me is you don't give a shit about our kids getting a good education. Oh, no, I do. But I just don't know anything about it. Then you don't care about it. Like, we can't be at that place anymore, okay? Talking about I don't understand this stuff, but I care about it. Look, you don't need to know about, how inflation works and the money supply and, like, the Fed and, all types of, like, intricacies of the economy and history and, yeah. How about you know about what's happening right now to you in our community, and, like, you're not going to understand the truth and what's important unless you actually go out and you go to Google or you go to another search engine, preferably. I like DuckDuckGo. And you ask it questions, okay? Did Donald Trump let black people out of prison? Like, just ask, like, questions like you would ask your buddy, okay? And then ask it. And the results come back, and then, you'll see a result and you'll go like, ooh, the headline says, Donald Trump let 8,100 black people out of jail that Clinton locked up. And you're like, don't want to touch that because that doesn't reinforce what I want to hear. So you go to the next one and you see something that's from like Huffington Post. And it's like, the headline goes, did Donald Trump let black people out of jail? No. And you're like, cool. Reinforces what I think he didn't. Then you click on it. It's like, of course not. He didn't even have a key to the jail cell. And you're like, he didn't have a jail. Fuck me. So the bottom line is, no longer acceptable for you not to be informed about stuff that's happening to our community. How hard is that? Take some time away from whatever the hell else you're doing. Like, is this important or not? Can you invest some time in help uplifting our community? That's what I'm asking you to do, okay? And how do we do that? We got to have informed conversations so we can have informed solutions, all right? So you got to stop having all this superficial knowledge about stuff that ain't important and having no knowledge about stuff that is important. Episode 3. Episode 4, 5, and 6. This is where we start talking about the tools, the specific tools that are used against you, that are waged against you in the black community. All right? In episode 4, we talked about idolatry. We talked about the need to get away from idols, right? Drugs and sex, right? All these things that just consume us in our day. Money and things and sin. Your sin, my sin, right? So we need to understand that we are trying to fill a void with whatever this idol in our life is, whatever we continue to consume that we can't get away from. And that void is a relationship with God. I talked about it in episode 4. You got to check this out, one of my favorite episodes, because this is where I think the episode really took a turn for the better and started talking about things that were super duper important and speaking the truth about God. And listen, the truth is, if we fill our time and our heart with sin, we'll never be able to fill it with God and be faithful and obedient to God. And that's what we're looking for. That's that void that we have. And so I talk about it in all different sorts of ways on how to realign yourself to welcome God to fill that void that you have been missing in your life. So, great episode. You got to look at episode 4. I think it really moves us forward. Episode 5, another super important episode. Listen, it's about abortion. Everyone hates talking about abortion. This is when like people stop watching the podcast. Like, oh my God, I can't talk about this. Well, guess what? Because it's so horrible. So maybe we should stop it. Maybe we should get it out of our community, get it out of this country. And we talked about how to do that in exactly 10 years. Okay? There is something that we can do, and that is vote for pro-life candidates in order to get rid of abortion. And the terrible thing about abortion is not only is it population control in our community, and not only does it create a culture of death and violence in our community, but it takes life from the most vulnerable. All right? We got to get away from it. That's episode 5. Episode 6, the minstrel show. Another really fun episode to make. And here's what we're talking about. Listen, man, if you don't understand the history of the minstrel show, which was popular culture and entertainment in America, made to make you look like a fucking fool. It started like, oh gosh, we're losing slavery. How are we going to continue to enslave these people through making them look like freaking idiots, and then nobody will mess with them. So anyway, the minstrel show, and we got to get away from that. And today, our art and entertainment is still so entrenched, so part of the minstrel show. All right, making us look like gangster rapper, drug addicts, baby daddies and hoochie mamas and all this other stuff. So you got to get away from that, man. You got to get away from it. Consumers, we got to stop consuming it and glamorizing it and incentivizing these artists and rewarding them for making our community look like freaking idiots. All right, we got to stop that. And artists and companies that put out this art, we got to start really holding ourselves to a new standard and create some things that will actually be entertaining and uplifting. We've done it before. Like, why can't we remake The Cosby Show? Seriously, why can't we do that? Now, I know what you're thinking. Here it is. This is important. Right when I said we should watch The Cosby Show, what I want to know is, did it pop in your mind, this guy's out to lunch, Bill Cosby's a rapist. Now we're supposed to say he's a good role model. This guy sucks. And what I'm saying is, shut up, you're brainwashed, all right? That has nothing to do with what I'm talking about, all right? Bill Cosby, Cliff Huxtable, there you go. Two different people. I'm talking about Cliff, not Bill. So shut up. Now, back to what I was saying. The Cosby Show. This was a great family. Father was a doctor. Mother was a lawyer. The kids, they were kind of like artsy. They were quirky. They all talked. They conjugated their verbs, right? They used proper English. They were like what Black America aspired to be. They taught all the episodes, like, had some at least underlining theme of like positivity. Like, why can't we make this type of entertainment anymore? There was all types of that entertainment going on when I was growing up, to be honest with you. Like, all types of it. It wasn't it wasn't on every show on every channel, but there were plenty of examples of things like The Cosby Show, right? They were going on back then. But now it's all crap, kind of. And when we create this content, I think we should do it in a different way, right? Because, listen, ABC, Disney, NBC, these people, they hate this idea, all right? They want to make money off of you looking like freaking monkeys on TV. They've done it. It's a good business model for them. So they're not going to fund this, all right? It's the black agenda, all right? So what we need to do is, one, self-created content, all right? We need to make our own content and put it on sites like YouTube. And this content has to have, again, the themes and the ideas and the values that need to be taught and reinforced in our community. It can be everything from, sitcom type entertainment like what I was talking about, to just instructional videos that will actually teach very basic stuff that we need to know and that more people need to know in our community. What are some of these values, right? Like, teach about, work ethic and making good social impressions, raising kids and two parents, anti-dependency, social and cultural activities, education, faith, integrity, planning, money managing, how to make a budget, anti-gang culture, importance of speech and appearance, how about that? How to interview, raising small children. See, this is how you should treat a newborn, right? The chest, right? Skin to skin. Dance with them, sing with them, rock them to sleep. Don't sleep with them in the same bed. Like all types of stuff, right? So, yeah. Instructional videos. We also need some way to communicate current events and news that really is affecting our community. So, again, we need to create content and find ways to distribute it. And as consumers, we need to consume this content. And I know it's scary to think about, oh my gosh, I'm going to get away from the sex, drugs, and hip hop, right? But, it's time to get away from that. It's time to evolve as artists and consumers. And as this evolution continues, we move in episode 7, which starts exactly where we began this episode. And that's with faith and obedience to God. That's what we've been talking about this entire episode. How to come in line with God so you can play your role as true Israelites of the Bible. And so again, in the future, you can ensure that you take your rightful place in God's plan. All right? Now, you've been programmed to hate everything I just said. Nobody likes what I said. Conservatives don't like what I said. Liberals don't like what I've said, right? Black, white, everybody. Nobody likes what I said. But what I'm telling you is, evaluate what I said and understand that this is the freaking truth. If you will get away from this old thought and these old sayings that do nothing and just say a whole bunch of stuff and make it feel good, gotta get away from that and get a little out of your comfort zone and understand that if you're gonna make real change in our community, we gotta try new things. And with this, the action plan, this is new. This is trying something different. And this is taking real action to cure the ills of our community. Let's get it. All right, guys. Real fun doing the Counterculture series for the Saint LibCon Podcast, our very first season. Thank you for joining us. And we're going to wrap up with Ride With Me. And then I'm going to have to get a ride. I'm going to get an Uber or a Lyft. Go out to the airport to LAX and going to take a long vacation. Okay, so I will catch you guys when I get back. Now, what is this? Something about Lyft here. I usually use Uber. What? Lyft will give you a free ride to an interview if you do not have a car. And then they will give you free rides to your job for 3 weeks until you can get paid so you can buy a car. What? Okay, I'm taking a Lyft to the airport. Oh my goodness. This is a true story. This Lyft really does this. I'm not really taking a Lyft to the airport and I'm not going on vacation. Just taking some time off from doing the podcast. But I'm going to work tomorrow. But this is a great example of what we need to do and what I'm going to ask you to ride with me. Here it is. Companies are in the business to sell a bunch of stuff. And they know if they can make you happy and loyal, they can sell you stuff. And we could actually formalize that loyalty by just making a pledge and say, you know what? As the Black community, I need you to ride with me on this. We're going to have one phone carrier, one cell phone carrier. AT&T, Verizon, not Sprint. I hate Sprint. But there's somebody, right? And what we're going to do is say, hey, just like that Lyft example I just gave you, how about you guys do something that's going to really help educate or train or develop our community. Okay? You guys make the pledge on what you're going to do, and we're going to make the pledge on only using your service. We can do it with big services, right? Like TV service, and with your phone, like I talked about. We could all shop at one grocery chain, right? And again, I'm not saying boycott other places or do anything. What I'm saying is, listen, this black agenda that I've talked about, it's going to take some funding, some real money. And if we're going to need some real money, we're going to have to get it from somebody. And we're going to have to take our own and invest it. And we're going to have to pool our resources, okay? And this part's about getting it from somebody. But I've already talked about pooling our resources and investing, okay, our own time and money in this part, all right? We had to take this on as our community and make those time and financial investments. Real talk. My phone always goes off when I say something super important, and that's important. This is up to you, all right? But to augment that personal and financial investment that we're going to make as a community, we're also going to make commitments and agreements with large companies that want to see our community prosper. And we're going to set up, again, agreements with them where, hey, we will be your best consumers. If you take on this black agenda, we need family and marriage counselors, and the churches, they can set it up and they can do the counseling in their church, and they can, but they can't pay for it. Well, guess what? How about you pay for it? Time Warner. Everybody signs up for Time Warner internet service. How about that? And you pay for all the family counseling. I know, sounds crazy. Like, how do we get this all done, matched up? Like, again, we need another portal. I don't know. But what I need you to do, and what I'm asking you to do in writing with me, is that when these companies make commitments, because they will, when they make commitments, I need you to be loyal and make commitments to them, so we're incentivizing them to support the black agenda. Because again, this is going to take an effort on a scale that we've never seen. Maybe that we haven't seen since Reconstruction, right? Since the rebuilding of Europe after World War II. But real talk, this is going to take some serious power, money, influence, and most of all, it's going to take some self-responsibility. We have to take it upon ourselves, each and every one of us as individuals, to do the right thing, to help our neighbor, to set an example for our kids, and to live faithfully and obedient to God. What you gonna do? Let's get it.